Martin, as part of a development community that are experts in the north, it's a far away from South Africa, and very few people, myself included, a few years ago, don't really understand the geography of this space and the history behind it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about the growth and the future growth of this North Empire?
Yeah. I think I'll go back in history a little bit just to cover that off. Me myself, I was based in Dublin and went to London to get a job like many Irish people, and then was in London 11 years and seen the opportunity to come to Manchester back in 2000. So I've been here 16, 17 years. So what I've seen happening in London, in my own experience, not being in the property industry then, but seeing areas, becoming developed, new areas coming developed. So I always seen, even though I wasn't in property then, you buy in areas that become developed, and then they become saturated, and new apartments, new restaurants, new bars. The next area next to it does the same, and I've seen that happening. And now living here in Manchester, I've seen the same thing happening over the 17 years. And even though we had a 6-year recession, Manchester still had that growth during that time. But going back to the history, obviously when I moved up here 17 years ago, Manchester was in a crest of a wave with the 2002 Commonwealth Games coming. It was awarded. So there was a lot of money coming in, but it really stemmed back 6 years before that. In '96, when the IRA bombing happened, the city decided that it needed to revitalise. It had gone through the troubled times of the 70s and 80s, and not get political, the Margaret Thatcher years, but she was only focused on the south. The north had always had a great reputation, good strong industrial area of Manchester, great Liverpool port, University of Leeds, great strong, three strong university cities. And it was time for the local governments to take charge and be proactive and take charge of where those cities went. So Leeds was the first one to do it. It started tapping into, getting companies from London to base themselves in Leeds. You had Leeds University, very strong. It's in the top 20 in the world, top 60 in the world, I think, of universities, 65,000 students there. And it got the first wave of investment from London and overseas. The fastest train then went to Leeds. It was obviously the city to be in. That was the late 90s. Manchester then caught on. It had started its change in after the IRA bomb in '96, and by 2000, when it awarded the Commonwealth Games, it really then started to show its true worth. Investment came in, and it hasn't stopped since then, really. Back in when I was here in 2005 in the property industry, but on a different side of the business, there was something like 40 cranes in Manchester. It's just getting to that now again. Then Liverpool got the next wave because in 2005 it got awarded the European City of Culture in 2008. So you first had Leeds, then Manchester, then Manchester passed Leeds. Leeds was still getting investment, but Manchester overtaken it. And then Liverpool got the next wave. So obviously Liverpool changed its whole structure, and Liverpool was obviously needed to as well. It needed to catch up with the other cities. All of that went really well till the recession came in 2009. The other cities slowed up, like many regional cities in the UK and in Europe. But Manchester was lucky in the fact it had 3 major factors that kept it going through the recession. You had the BBC decision to move up to the north, to move a number of their departments to the north. So it got a huge construction contract here in the outskirts of Manchester, 2 mile out of the city centre at Media City, which we're now sitting in. Alongside that, you had the Building Schools for the Future programme, which the Labour government had brought in, and many new schools were built around the country, called the BSF programme. These projects were stopped by the Tory government in 2009, but in Manchester there wasn't, because 2 major contractors had big head offices in here, so they continued on. So my 2 daughters now go to a brand new school in Manchester. So you had that infrastructure project, you had the Media City infrastructure project, and you also had the tram link expansion programme. So Manchester got its own tram metro system, and it was taking the decision to expand that during the recession, and that continued on. So you had 3 major factors that kept Manchester growing during the recession. But during that time, you had no residential being built. So hence the need, a growing population, a lot of infrastructure projects going on, there was money in the economy, and then the universities became stronger. So people were staying at university longer, but they were also staying in the city longer then, because Manchester had something to offer, same as Leeds and Liverpool have now as well. That people could get jobs here, they had a better lifestyle, a big population of 2 million people here in Manchester in the catchment area. So there's jobs here now as well. So when they leave university, they don't have to go back to London, they can stay here. So that expands the plus obviously over the last 10 years, the UK has seen a growth in immigration. So you've got growth from that factor as well. So that's where the cities are now. Manchester prices then reflect that. Liverpool and Leeds are playing catch up. The prices are probably 20 grand difference in the prices of Manchester residential and Leeds and Liverpool. but they're getting there now as well, and
Mm-hmm.
they started seeing a change in the last 18 months there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hope that helps, obviously give you a bit
Absolutely.
of overview of where the cities are at.
And they will catch up. That Liverpool, I mean, it's such a beautiful city,
Yeah.
right there on the water.
Yeah.
It will start to get Manchester prices in what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I reckon maybe 3-4 years. Yeah, I think so. Obviously, one of the things that's happened in Liverpool as well, you know, people, they look to its strengths. Its port is its strength. Its historic port. You've seen the classy buildings there today, the wealth of the city. The port has moved from the city centre out to the edge of the city, so it can take the big containers now, the big seafaring containers that we have moving around the oceans. So that's going to change in the next 5 years as well, and bring new industry, old industries back to Liverpool.
And as those of you that live down in Cape Town, we know what happens when you regenerate a harbour area. It brings so much to a city, not just tourism, but all the people that have moved down into Cape Town to actually be able to work in the city centre there as well. So those residential and buy-to-lets that are happening all around the water basin there, it's exactly the same that's going to be happening in the Liverpool area.
And we've seen that today here in Media City. This was the old, you know, the history of the ship canal here is that the industrialists of Manchester needed to get their cotton and goods out of Manchester, out to the oceans, and they built the ship canal to bypass the Liverpool port to bring the business straight into Manchester. But that ship canal, 5,000 people were employed here in the 1970s. Now this is all residential area, so it's gone through a whole revamp. Instead of being an industrial area, it's very much a residential area to live and work. So on the doorstep of Manchester City Centre. So
it's glorious.
Yeah.
It's such a good mixture of old, beautiful, traditional, industrial building that you would associate with the north, and then these beautiful, glossy steel and high-rise, state-of-the-art apartments.
Yeah.
It's
a good mix.
a really good mix.
Yeah.
It has a great vibe.